We are honored today to have Charles Ernest Grassley, Senator from Iowa, and it is my distinct pleasure to interview a man who has served his country since 1959. During his 4 decades in the Senate, Senator Grassley has chaired the Senate Finance Committee, the Senate Narcotics Committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, and the Senate Aging Committee. This is Jane Turner, FBI whistleblower, whistleblower advocate, and reporter for Whistleblower Network News, who has known Senator Grassley since 2000 when he kept the FBI from firing me in retaliation right after I blew the whistle on theft from Ground Zero. Today, I am not talking politics, Senator Grassley, but rather about Chuck Grassley, the man. So in that vein, let me ask, you have stood up to the biggest, meanest bullies in the free world and made enemies in some government agencies that are known for bullying. What is it about your upbringing on a farm in New Hartford, Iowa, to Ruth and Lois Grassley that made you into the man you are today and not scared of any bullies?
My mom and dad did not take any guff off of anybody, and they were not politically active in the sense of being involved in a political party, but they always voted, and they were good citizens and active in their community, and they taught me to be likewise. But the most important impact they had on my life for my political career is, for some reason or other, even though my dad never went beyond 8th grade, my mother did have a little bit of college so she could teach, but not 4 years like you have to have today. And they were always talking government and politics. So I grew up with a tremendous interest in government politics from a very young age.
So your parents were kind of active in around the dinner table talking about politics. So that kind of gave you an idea about.
Yeah, it did. I for some reason or other, going through school, particularly high school, I was very interested in politics.
Wow. Well, you earned a BA and an MA in political science. You were aware at an early age that politics was your calling then.
Yes, one of two ways: either to serve in elective office, with no intention at that time I would ever be a United States senator, but I was thinking about running for the state legislature when I was fairly young. And if I hadn't been elected to the state legislature, I'd probably be teaching government either in high school or college now.
Well, you came from farming and factory work. I looked at your background, but you have risen to one of the most prestigious jobs possible, a United States Senator. What drives you?
Well, I think public service drives me. Maybe, to be intellectually honest, I ought to start out when I first ran for the state legislature in Des Moines. It was probably just to serve without thinking in terms of public service. But after you were in it a while, serving in public service is an honorable profession. Yes. Just like you being in the FBI was an honorable profession for you. And just serving the people has been my goal.
Wow. Well, you have done a wonderful job. One thing I'm interested in is you married your wife in 1954.
Yes.
I want you to know I was 3 years old. And, well, you were still in college, and you are still married today. And you have 5, count them, 5 children. Tell us about your life away from politics.
Well, I'm not a golfer, a hunter, a fisherman, or a tennis player, or anything like that. Politics and farming and family is pretty much my life, and and uh, and that's what it revolves around. And I should include church too,
Yes.
where Barbara and I have gone to the same church ever since 1 week after we were married, as an example. So the same
Wow.
church for 66 years. So anyway,
Wow.
I just see farming and public service, being a U.S. Senator today, family member, and participate in my religion as pretty much my life. It's about all you can do, and 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 uh, uh, and Barbara, my wife, deserves a great deal of credit for my
Yes.
success in politics because she has put up with an awful lot, and
Yes.
she and I'd have to give her credit. You talk about 5 kids. She was a lot of times she was mother and father to 5 kids.
Yes, and I was curious how that worked out. Are those children still in Iowa, or are they to all four winds?
4 out of 5 live within Iowa, and until 1 year ago, 3 out of the 5 lived within, or 4 out of the 5 lived within 10 miles where they were born. The
Wow.
other boy is about 100 miles away now, but still in Iowa. And then I have a daughter in Northern Virginia area, and she's about the only one that can't participate on a fairly regular basis on family activities.
They must be so proud of you. I mean, really, they must be so proud to carry the Grassley name.
Yeah,
They must
but
be.
but because they're Grassleys, they don't speak much about it.
No.
And
Well, you, yes.
I'm fortunate enough to have a grandson, Robin, that farms our farm. His son is Speaker of the Iowa House and has been a member of the Iowa House now for 15 years.
So politics runs in the Grassley genes.
It skipped a generation though.
And how many grandchildren do you have?
We have 9 grandchildren and I think 12 or 13 great grandchildren.
Wow. That's many blessings, many
Yeah.
blessings. I was going to ask you, Senator Grassley, there is a term known as the full Grassley,
Yes.
and it describes when a United States presidential candidate visits all 99 counties of Iowa before the Iowa caucuses, which comes from your history of meeting in all of Iowa's counties every year. How did you juggle your political and personal life, especially with 5 children?
Well, it's like I think I got to give a lot of credit to Barbara. She was mother and father to the kids. I'm trying to make it up as they're all grown up and everything. I try to make it up to them now, and I think I do a good job, and we have a good relationship with all of them. But I wouldn't want to take credit that I was able to juggle everything. I think people juggled their life around my life. And I don't say that because that's the way it ought to be, but I think that's the way it worked out.
Well said. Well said. I think you were probably a wonderful father. And someday I hope I get to meet your wife, Barbara. She sounds about as close as you can get to a saint.
Yeah. And she's
Yeah.
she's a New Hampton girl too.
Oh, does she come from farmland?
Yeah. The Spiker.
Wow. Wow. Tell us how you became the Lion of the Senate for whistleblowers.
Well, it started in my first term, maybe in the third year. I sought information from the Defense Department that the Secretary of Defense didn't want to give me. And I decided I'm going to get it one way or the other. And had already been a lot of people that you call whistleblowers going back then. The most famous one was Fitzgerald, who Nixon said fire that SOB because he said something was wrong about something that Nixon liked or not. And so I got acquainted with some of them because of my efforts to sort out waste, fraud, and mismanagement within the Defense Department. And by the way, I got a bill passed as a result of what I was doing my first term, the False Claims Act. It's brought back $63 billion of fraudulently taken money from the federal taxpayers. Anyway, it just kind of built from that point, but it was all because of my very in-depth work, seeking out information within the Defense Department, and then whistleblowers coming to me with a lot of information I couldn't get directly from the Secretary of Defense. And then it just grew from then, and I have a reputation, as indicated with your introduction of me. And I thank you for being a patriotic American. And by the way, you were a patriotic American. You stuck with it. A lot of people would have given up, and probably you were hurt professionally as a result of it. But because of people like you, whistleblowers know that they're going to get Chuck Grassley's attention.
Yes. Yes, you are really, when I call you the Lion of the Senate for whistleblowers, you really are. Your name comes to the fore anytime somebody is talking about whistleblowers. And I wanted to know, when it comes to whistleblowers, agencies have not only stonewalled and lied to the whistleblower, but also stonewalled and lied to you. I am thinking of one agency in particular, but I won't mention it. So how do you keep your equilibrium and keep on course with helping whistleblowers when you have such terrific blowback like that? Horrendous personal attacks on you.
Yeah. The personal attacks don't bother me. And I think you just don't give up. You know, I think you keep going until you get the information you want, and you use the media, use speeches on the floor of the United States Senate, you seek help from the Government Accountability Office, you seek help from the 30 or 40 Senate confirmed inspectors generals that we have in the various departments, and you just keep going, and you don't give up. Now, that doesn't mean that I always succeed in getting everything I want, but they know that we don't give up.
Yes, they do. And I think you're admired for that. I've talked to many whistleblowers that have approached their senators, and the senators tell them there is no way I can tackle something like that. So you are so impressive that nothing has frightened you. Nothing has ever backed you off. And you have helped every whistleblower that I can think of that's come in through your door. I mean, it's amazing. It really is. You are an amazing man. Do you realize that?
Well, I just Chuck Grassley, senator for Iowa, a farmer from Iowa, pretty much just an individual out to do what I do and try to earn my salary.
You're pretty modest. But what is your message to whistleblowers today and those who are thinking of becoming whistleblowers tomorrow?
Okay. Well, I would sit down and listen to them. So if they want to come to me and have me listen to them, or my staff listen to them, then I would also advise them that they are putting their neck on the line, in a sense, that they could be ruined professionally, they could be fired, or like Ernie Fitzgerald, they could be put in the attic of the Defense Department. Yes. With nothing to do his last 20 years of public service.
Yes.
Everything that they're going to do to get you to quit so they don't have to fire you or treat you the way Ernie Fitzgerald was treated. And I would say that in order for me to help you, I got to have the most sound information I can. And you got to be square with me, and things of that nature. I'm not sure there's one bit of advice I give to everybody except the advice of, you're going out on a limb and you could be hurting yourself for you. Do you want to do it?
Excellent advice. Excellent advice.
And thank God that people like you stick it out. People are patriotic. I've never met a whistleblower, or at least 97% of the whistleblowers I meet are patriotic citizens.
Yes.
They just want the government to do what the law says it should do, or spend the money the way the government does. And in fact, when they start out in this crusade, and maybe it happened to you, you maybe didn't even know what a whistleblower was, but there was something wrong that you needed to expose, and you did it. And if you didn't do it, we wouldn't know about it. And you suffered for it, even though you were still able to stick it out and stuff like that. So I think that's the one advice I would give to people, that they got to know they're taking on a big bureaucracy.
Good advice, Senator Grassley. Excellent advice. You're up for re-election in 2022. Do you plan to run?
I'm going to make that announcement in September, October. A year is enough to campaign, and I'm going to make up my mind then. Normally, I would have announced for re-election, but when you're 87 years old, you owe it to the people of Iowa to give it deep consideration.
Yes, you would be a tremendous loss. I'll just insert that here, a tremendous loss.
Well,
no pressure there.
Okay.
Excuse me. Who is the most capable person to take your place as a lion for whistleblowers in the Senate when you do decide to retire?
Well, if he doesn't retire, and I hope he doesn't, Senator Johnson of Wisconsin.
Oh, does he have an interest in whistleblowers?
Well, he's very interested in investigations. And if you're very interested in investigations, you got to be interested in listening to whistleblowers.
Ah, yes. And can you share with me your plans for the future?
Well, my plans are, I've got at least 18 more months to serve this term. If I run for re-election, then my plan is to continue doing what I'm doing the first 40 years I served in the United States Senate.
You are quite the man. You are. You're a hero. You're a hero to all whistleblowers. Are there any bills you'd like to see passed in this current Congress?
Well, yes, there are some bills, and most of them build on previous bills that I've worked on going back to 1988 or 89, when I think the first bill I got passed. And mine isn't the first whistleblower protection, because there were some passed earlier before I got to the United States Senate. But you build because of one of two things. There's holes in what was originally done that need to be filled, or there are court decisions that may be interpreted a whistleblower law not within the intent of Congress. So you always have to pass legislation to tell the judges you just didn't get it straight.
Yes, yes. And you mentioned the False Claims Act. Are you fully aware of what an incredible effect that's had on agencies, on whistleblowers? I mean, that is an incredible bill.
Yeah. Well, people that bring forth knowledge of waste of taxpayers' money, fraudulent use of it, or not following the law, and they go to the Justice Department, and the Justice Department doesn't prosecute it, they can bring it themselves. And even if they aren't lawyers, they can bring it through law firms that handle cases like that. And if they win, they get a percentage. And sometimes those are pretty healthy percentages.
Yes, they are.
And usually between 15 and 30%. And so we're bringing a lot of money now, about $63,000, $63 billion back into the federal treasury.
Yep.
And then with another bill I got passed for IRS for taxes that weren't paid, a whistleblower brings that. That's brought in about $6 billion there. And then there's other whistleblower legislation that I've attached to things for the Commodity Futures Trading Organization, the Securities and Exchange Commission, where there's money that comes in there that maybe goes to the agency or goes into the federal treasury. I don't have a figure on that amount of money, but so wherever we've tried to extend the principle of rewarding whistleblowers that talk about the waste of money or the violation of the law.
And when is the time going to come when your name will be up there in lights with some of these whistleblower bills?
Well, how you get your name on a bill, I'm not sure. It just probably happens by chance. Somebody thinks you're doing a good bill, or if you got enough guts to say this is going to be a Grassley bill, but I'm not going to do that.
Well, I'll tell you, you deserve a ton of them. And I hope if and when you retire, Senator Grassley, you let the whistleblowers know so we can get together and come back there and tell you how grateful we are for you. I mean, you really, really are something special. You don't even know how special you are.
Well, I'm just doing my job, and we call it checks and balances of government. That's what you studied in 8th grade civics. Yes. We not only pass money and appropriate, we pass bills and appropriate money. We also have a responsibility to make sure the executive branch carries out congressional intent. And that's what I'm doing. That's what you call oversight. And that's where you come in contact with whistleblowers. And I want to give whistleblowers a shout out, because I think of all the investigations I do, probably at least 80 or maybe even 90% of it comes from leads I get from whistleblowers. You know, I think everybody that's in the bureaucracy think I wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to investigate the FBI today, or I'm going to investigate the Agriculture Department tomorrow. That isn't how it happens. It happens by patriotic Americans that I call whistleblowers, and to some people, that's a disreputable word to use, but I think it's a word that we ought to honor, because these are people that help us in Congress make the checks and balances work.
And you are a hero to each and every one of them. In fact, I am sending you a book, believe it or not. This is Rosemary Dew's book. She's got 10 FBI whistleblowers in here. You saved all of them. I'm going to send, no kidding. Yeah. I'm going to send that to you, because I don't think you know exactly how big an impact, how many ripples you have sent through the pond, the whistleblower pond. It's amazing.
Well, I'm a small stone pitched in the water, and there's a lot of ripple coming from it.
A lot of ripple.
Yeah.
And you are a hero, and you are a great politician. Like I said, I hope you let us know when and where, because we'll be there whenever you decide to leave. We'll be there shaking your hand on the way out. Well,
I thank you for this interview. I thank you for what you did as a patriotic American, exposing what was wrong within your agency. And I hope that people are encouraged by your speaking up and being a person of faith in the principle of whistleblowing.
Yes. And with a patron saint like you, Senator Grassley, I can only see hope for our future. Thank you so much for appearing.
God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you.